What is up, Drama Alert Nation? I'm your host, Killer Keemstar.
Oh, Jesus, not this.
Nice.
Oh, that's one way to start off our channel.
I had to.
Oh my god.
Oh,
The controversy.
I've been keeping it in for a while, and I thought, you know what? No, this is the time. Nah,
Oh my
just
gosh.
kidding, guys. Welcome back to Nerd Legion. I'm Nathan.
I'm Jose.
And I'm Josh. And let's get right into the news. Sorry, I had to do that.
Just had to continue it there.
I had to. I'm sorry. But yeah, lots of stuff to talk about. So basically, first thing, DC's chairman has recently stepped down after their whole Snyderverse still causing more problems. Jose, you want to take the reins?
Sure, yeah. His name is Tomy Emmerich. So he stepped down as chairman. He's not too long ago. His contract will end, I believe, in 2022. I forget what month though. But after that, he will no longer be the chairman. So Warner Brothers, yet again, struggling to be able to behind the scenes in the top CEOs of Warner Brothers, just trying to figure out their bearings of where to go from here, right? So it's this whole discussion of I just wanted to say like how there's been a lot of difficulty around Warner Brothers and how I'm sure that the frustration I've seen it's TikToks, I've seen videos on YouTube of frustration of fans that they just really don't like what Warner Brothers is doing, and so like to their DC characters, they're doing very well with their cartoon versions, like they doing very well with their animated versions of the characters, but it's the live action that is struggling the most. And as of right now, there's been, like, as of one of the last episodes that we talked about, there was controversy with Zack Snyder, right? So Zack Snyder is said to never work with Warner Brothers again, or like not in the near future anyways, hopefully in.
Oh, I didn't even hear about that.
Yeah, so yeah, Zack Snyder is not said to want to come back. I guess there's bad blood between Warner Brothers and him, probably because of the fan base. There's a lot of grudge with that as well, and just other things that we talked about in previous episodes that I won't get into with other actors. So Warner Brothers is just really trying to clean up state and being able to get their bearings right. Even to the controversy right away to I wouldn't say I mean, it is a bit controversial. People don't like that they just announced also that they're going to create a black Superman. And it's not a racist thing. It's a lot of the fans of what I see online, of what I've seen online, are talking about the fact that creating a black Superman that is not primarily in the comics, it's it just it seems that Warner Brothers is desperate to make it just stand out different, right? But there's a lot of black characters within the DC comics, so and there's that question in the air: why not pick one of them and make a movie of them? Why do you have to change,
I fully agree.
right, the background of Superman? So, in my personal opinion, because of how desperate they're acting and how difficult they're being, I really feel like they are. I mean, are they messing up Warner, like their DC universe? Yes, in a sense. But I don't know why. Maybe it's the like the DC fandom in me. I'm hoping they do it justice, I guess. I don't know, but I was just still hoping for Henry Cavill to still be Superman. He unfollowed them on.
I heard about that. That was actually kind of surprising, and telling, because that's just like, well, it's not just Zack Snyder walking away from Warner Brothers; it is the actors themselves too. Since we all know, we all know how big of a shit show that happens with all the stuff behind the scenes with Justice League. A lot of controversy is now being brought up to the public nowadays, and it's like first it's with Joss Whedon and Gal Gadot and the feminist ideology from him. Then you have Ray Fisher with like dealing with racism on set. It's it's constantly now starting to become more and more issues being brought up. That's just making look like Warner Brothers either needs to sell DC or they just really need to scrap the whole thing, over again and literally start from scratch. I've been telling you guys this, that DC needs to either reboot and try again. It's not too late to reboot because right now they're already shitting the bed and right now they're making it worse. But there's still time for them to reboot it. But I know they still have like more movies like planned out, like Black Adam and the Green Lantern movie. I think Jon Stewart's supposed to be in it, or Hal Jordan. I think it's supposed to be Jon Stewart.
I think they're gonna do Hal Jordan for that one.
Right.
But to your point, you're completely right. Is to restart, and that's where I wanted to get to as well. Is because they know there's such a power struggle behind the scenes, like in the corporation, that that's why the Flash movie, even that it was actually supposed to come next month, I think. Um, it's been pushed back to next year, right? So the Flash movie, they have a really good storyline. It's the Flashpoint. The Flashpoint storyline is a beautiful storyline where it just resets the entire universe. So to my understanding and based on where they're going and the future of DC, the reason why they keep pushing the Flashpoint movie, is because by the time they get to it, they're hoping that will reset the entire franchise, right? So that's why they keep pushing it. In my opinion, that's what I see. But so lots of good things, lots of good news though. I mean, not all of them are bad. A lot of bad things happened during the time that Zack Snyder was around with actors and whatnot as well. So, but lots of good news. We got the Batman coming out, and which is I'm really really excited about that. I'm a very big fan of the Batman. We got the Suicide Squad. We got the Black Adam movie, where it's going to be directed, and Black Adam is Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. It seems like there's a lot of hope there. James Gunn is doing Suicide Squad, and he did a really good job with Guardians of the Galaxy. And then lastly will be the Flashpoint. The Flashpoint is going to be the one, and apparently I've heard good news about that too. So, and they still have both Gal Gadot and the actor Jason Momoa, and so to play the roles that they need to play for the Flashpoint movie. So I'm really really excited for what's going to happen next. I have no idea how the universe is going to be later on for them, but to my understanding of what I heard last year, they are wanting to focus on individually these characters, as they should have done in the beginning, and their stories, and not be so hasty like they did before to create a universe, because that messed everything.
Hey, I want to bring up a fair point, with regards to what we said earlier about a colored man playing Superman.
Okay, yeah.
Do you guys ever watch the older like Justice League animated series?
Yeah, like I did.
I just remember seeing it like a little bit over the years. Green Lantern is a person of color.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah, like that's Jon Stewart.
Yeah. So my thing here is that the fans, at least, like, they're getting upset about them having a person of color play Superman, when all those years ago, yes, it was animated, but it was still a person of color playing Green Lantern.
Yeah.
So it's like, how is a colored Superman not accurate to the comics? Which, I mean, to be fair, it isn't, right? And that's nothing against the idea of it, but how is it any more or less inconsistent than having a colored Green Lantern?
Right. I don't like. Here's the issue. I don't have any problems with a person of color playing Superman. I don't have an issue with that at all. What people have an issue with is that if the current Superman, who has been like throughout displayed all across, like, for like decades,
Yeah.
has always been the ideal person of who we saw, right? It's like James Bond, like you see the character and like you instantly have that image of what James Bond is supposed to look like. That's the same thing with Superman. Now, if they wanted to make a black Superman, that's perfectly okay. There's nothing wrong with that. They need to make him a completely different person though, because then they make someone else as a completely different nationality as the same character. That's what people have an issue with. Because I've seen the comments of like how people have been reacting to that. They didn't like they didn't really have a problem with it. They just really wish that he was a different person, like entirely, so that way he can have his own storyline and still have the original Superman there.
Well, think of it like Miles Morales for Spider-Man, right? Yes, he is Spider-Man, but he's a different person from Peter Parker. The same, like, similar things happen to him. He gets bitten by a spider, gets the powers, but there's a different circumstance surrounding it,
That's exactly
and
my
like
point. Yeah.
different things are done with it, right? So I see what you're saying. So if they're gonna go the route of giving us a person of color playing Superman, they need to give him his own identity and his own like reasons for being Superman, his own stories, basically.
See, and that's the thing. Like, there is actually it does exist in the comics that there is a black Superman with his own personality, but own like background, and his name is Calvin Ellis, right? But what they're doing now is taking a black Superman and naming him Clark Kent.
That's why people have a problem with that.
That's why people have a problem with it, because it's like, and like I would love to see Calvin Ellis be, someone named that instead of Clark Kent, because it makes more sense. It's more close to what the comics were. But that's not the case here, right? And I can see why people are now like, why are you doing that? Why are you completely changing the background of the person? So it just doesn't make sense.
Well, this isn't the first time we've seen this happen.
Definitely not.
Like if you look back at like with Batwoman, that was originally played by what's her name, like Ruby Rose or something like that. Yeah, like then all of a sudden her ethnicity got changed midway through season 2, and everybody is just looking at it like, huh? Like it didn't make any sense at all.
Yeah.
Since we already saw her in like Crisis of Infinite Earths, it's like, well, that completely like confuses a lot of the fans, and I think some people stopped watching because not only the writing was trash, but also because that whole completely different race change midway through season 2 didn't make any sense.
Yeah, it was inconsistent.
Very consistent.
So like if for example, if I doubt they're gonna do this, but if they tried to imply that like this colored version of Clark Kent is supposed to be the same Clark Kent as Henry Cavill's, then I can understand even more people being like, "What?"
What the heck?
Yeah, yeah.
So he needs to be his own person. It needs to be a separate universe, his own situations, his own stories and everything, and just be separate from the Clark Kent that we know as Henry Cavill to be, right? So
Why did Henry, like, I've heard that Henry Cavill has had a lot of problems with, just being a problematic person. Why couldn't he just take the paycheck, man? Come on, he was such a good Superman. I love that guy as being the Superman.
Henry Cavill hasn't left being Superman yet.
Well, I mean, he's not going to be now if they're announced that they're going to change his, the background of the character now, right? So
Well, like they're putting that out there just to see if it would get a reaction, and it did.
I guess like PR. You think it's like PR?
I think it's a PR stunt. Do I think they're actually following through with it? I don't. I'm not sure. If Henry Cavill steps down, it's very likely it's going to be legit.
I just have to mention too, I feel like gonna be careful with how I say this, but I feel like it's kind of in sort of a reactionary move with the things that have been happening over the last year with the Black Lives Matter movement.
Right.
I feel like a lot of these companies are not conceding, but they're trying to appease people of color because obviously this has gone on for too long now. Racism in the world, not just the United States, has gone on for too long, and it needs to stop. Absolutely needs to stop. But it's like, how much do we need to appease people before? Sorry, guys, I'm getting my thoughts twisted here a little bit.
Yeah, like I see where you're going at with that. It's just that like when you're originally changing, like obviously the way things going on in society. Obviously, in 2021, racism is alive and well, and it's very alive in the film industry. That's where things start to get very hectic. Um, it's kind of like I obviously I don't know what it's like to like see like in another person's shoes in terms of that kind of like a discrimination. But as far as I'm concerned, it's it's gonna be like one of those things where it's just gonna be a tough thing to go through, all around like life, and uh especially those kind of like discussions that will really just be very uncomfortable to deal with, and just very unbearing in terms of like discrimination towards someone who looks completely different than you, or what their upbringing is. Obviously, people are going to be very judgmental, and it's just sad reality. That's just like how the way the world is. Um, I wish there could be a better change towards that, and I wish that for some things in the film industry, for like not to have these kind of problematic issues, so that way we can just sit back, enjoy these movies, and enjoy the characters. But obviously, we can't have nice things.
No, no, definitely not. Can I also say too, this kind of connects with this whole thing of have you guys heard about Hank Azaria and how he feels like he needs to apologize for like voicing Apu from The Simpsons?
Hank Azaria.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
like I know what he's talking about. Like I think he stepped down for that.
Yeah, he stepped down and now he feels like he has to apologize to everyone of that ethnicity for voicing the character when like, I'm just bringing this up too because going off of what Jose was saying about race bending everything, it's like Hank Azaria was simply a voice actor. He wasn't. It's not like his ethnicity was being changed altogether for the sake of voicing the character. He was just using a voice. He was changing his voice to match that of a character with a different ethnicity.
Right.
The problem being too that the people seem to forget is that voice actors are supposed to disappear into the role, right?
Yes.
So you have this character of Apu. He's clearly Indian. He sounds like he's Indian. He just happens to not being voiced by an Indian man. The man who voiced Cleveland Brown on Family Guy also stepped down, and he's being replaced by an actual colored man.
Right.
But they bring this up, this documentary called The Problem with Apu, and I saw this video done by Brain Dump, and he brought up such a fair point. He goes into the whole thing about how he's Italian and how he doesn't have a problem with Mario. And here's the thing with Mario is that Mario's not even voiced by an Italian man. He's voiced by a French man. So when did we get this idea into our heads that we have to race bend everything? We have to have a voice actor be the same ethnicity as the character they're voicing.
Because it's considered racist, apparently. That's the problem.
That and a cultural appropriation is another thing.
It's a slippery slope.
It is a slippery slope, and it's getting worse. It's getting even more slippery. But it's like how long until Charles Martinet gets canceled for voicing an Italian man when he's French? That's what I'm afraid of.
There is a point that people like we're going through a transition. Okay, like the man, I gotta say, I think the man should have not apologized. Like,
No, he has nothing to apologize for.
he has nothing to apologize, because like you were just saying, you have a good point. Like he's there to act and be somebody else, you know? So like that's him. He's an actor. That's
Yeah.
what act
And wasn't the whole thing with comedy too was that it isn't funny unless someone's being put into misery, right?
yeah.
But it's like, I mean, there's stereotypes for every ethnicity, every race, gender, and everything, and it's like the best way we can bring about these issues is to make fun of these issues, because that seems to be the only way that people actually, stop to think about it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
and
it's not a black and white. I'm not saying like skin color black and white.
no,
I'm
no,
saying
no,
it's
no,
not a
no.
it's not a monochromatic like black and white scenario. There's so many different layers and complexities that make up our society, and it's always changing. Um,
Right, right,
like
and
for gosh sakes, all the Simpsons characters have yellow skin. What, does everyone have jaundice? Like,
that has been an ongoing joke ever since the beginning. Like, come on.
just saying, I had jaundice when I was born.
Oh.
Oh shit.
Yeah, yeah, fun times.
Yikes.
But my point is, right? It's like, what are we next gonna get upset about? White people voicing yellow people? Like,
Yeah, I don't know, man. I see what you're going. It's just
basically, what I'm trying to get at here too is that I'm okay with actors being the wrong ethnicity when it comes to animation, like voicing characters. When it's live action, it is important that especially in the case of if it's a true story or anything like that, you need to have the actor be of the same ethnicity as the person that they're playing.
Right, right. Now, unless it fits with the story, feel free. Like I remember that this was almost a similar issue with like the Little Mermaid, where where they cast Halle Bailey to play as Ariel, and
Yep.
then everyone got into riot, and I'm like, why? They could just do it in the Caribbean. Like, what difference does it make? Like, I understand it's a Polish story. Wait, sorry, hold on. Was it a Polish story or? Oh, wait, sorry. Denmark. Yeah, like,
Denmark, yeah.
yeah. Like the original Little Mermaid story took place in Denmark. And that's why people have a problem with it, because it takes place in a country where it's not exactly the right person should be cast to play Little Mermaid. That's why people have an issue with that.
right.
Now, all they have to do is change it to make the scenery be in the Caribbean, and then everything is fine. If they wanted to completely change the character for the story purposes, feel free, go ahead, just as long as it makes sense. Like, as long as it makes sense for the fans, feel free to do whatever you wish.
Here's the thing too. I want to be I got to be really fair with this too. I think a couple of years ago they had the Little Mermaid live,
Yeah.
right? They had Alil Carvalho, who played Moana in the Disney film, play Ariel.
Which was so cool. I actually watched the whole thing. It was really cool.
But it's like no one batted an eye about that. So why bat an eye about a woman of color playing Ariel when you didn't bat an eye about another woman who was um a different colored skin play the character, right?
Well, like if you look at the timing, the news dropped when Halle Bailey was supposed to play the Little Mermaid. Um, and then the musical came out. I think it came out like not even 2 months after. That's why people didn't have a problem with it. I think because like when the news dropped on them, they had like a bitter pill to swallow. But then after when they saw the musical, they were like, okay, I could get behind this.
But here's the thing too. I get why people get upset, but it's like it ultimately doesn't even matter. It like all these movies and stuff like that they get all that controversy. The controversy fades away. It all fades away. People forget about it. They move on to another thing to be upset about.
Yeah, kind of like how cancel culture likes to do that a lot often.
Uh-huh. But it's like, especially in the case of movies that cast people that you don't think would be right for the role, and it's like, fine, like give your 2 cents and then just move on. Like
Right.
I don't know.
Look, it's the world, the industry is changing, and the world is changing, and people are voicing their opinions. I'm sure, like, as we talk about it, the more I think about it, it's like, I guess everybody wants to appropriately address every background. You need to have people of that background to be those people, I guess. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, otherwise people are going to be upset. And also, but also, like, and in that sense it makes sense too. Like, I mean, and I think that's where Disney is going, is trying to do that as best as they can. Like with the Disney Aladdin, they really tried their best to do an accurate, background of everybody, in that Indian culture, I would say, right? So
They did a pretty good job, yeah. I loved the casting of what they did. The only person I think was a questionable casting was Will Smith as the genie, but
because
eh,
he's quirky. He's
he,
quirky.
It
a
was
little bit.
questionable because he was also, filling the shoes of an iconic actor, right? That
Yeah.
sadly is no longer with us, right? So,
Yeah.
um, no, I was gonna say too that I think the big thing with why people are getting so upset online too is that with the state of the world right now, so many people are stuck at home. You know, situation has changed for them due to COVID-19. That they have nothing else to do with their lives, so they go on message boards, they go on social media, and they rant about the things that make them upset because they have nothing else to do, or at
Yeah,
least they don't, or at least they don't feel like they have anything to do. So that's how they release their frustration. It's just unfortunate that half the time it's people online, other people online, or the movie industry that gets the brunt of people's frustrations.
yeah, and that's another thing. Like, I noticed that people have been getting a lot more frustrated and pissed off, and everything just gets to them. Like, even just like random news being like, oh, freaking, what else? Oh yeah, like James Franco, and with like calls through his allegations. Like, at first, like nobody really said anything, but then all of a sudden, when the news dropped that Seth Rogen's not going to be working with him anymore because of the allegations, now all of a sudden people have something to complain about. Because it's like when you see a new headline, and then you're in the state of, you're in lockdown, you can't really do much. No matter what you see, like even if it's just a positive post, they will find a way to negatively comment it. Like, it solely drains your soul. It's just really not good.
Yep.
we it's important that we, like, everybody's a critic. Literally, that statement rings true. Everybody's a
Mm-hmm.
critic. But it's
Yeah.
it's really important that we take it with a grain of salt. We are looking through the lens of a creative person. Like, every movie was through a lens of what the artist wanted to depict to you. And you can complain, you can say that this was a bad movie. I would have done this all you want, but you're not in the movie industry, are you? so
Yeah.
so like, go be a director, make your own damn movie if you want to do it, okay? So
Yeah. Yeah. Like, and I think for someone who's actually worked on a couple of Hallmark movies as a locations guy, I've experienced what actually being on a film set is like. So I'm allowed to make those kind of critics. But it's just more so that if you don't have the necessary skill sets, or like a good vision of like what makes a movie good in terms of casting, storytelling, or just all around um, motion capture, or just special effects, like if you don't have like any kind of like skill traits, or have like a good visual storytelling of of how things should be done, then just watch the film and enjoy it. But if there's certain things you don't like, then you just hope for the next movie it does have it.
yeah,
I don't know.
it's it's uh it's it's gonna get better. It's gonna get better. I think I mean, what we went to school with, when we had we had a prof named Atul, and he,
Oh, a tool. I love him.
such a great professor, and he would tell us that in Disney has, because he had an interview with them, right? And they have a very old style of movie making. So, but clearly, if we see their movies of what they've done, you clearly see it's worked. The method has worked. And so
Yeah.
it's, and because they're masters, they've been around for a long time, you know? So
Mhm.
I have confidence that they will. I mean, they even try to push the boundaries in a really really good way, moving forward in time, and also just trying to make sure that not everybody's going to be happy, but the majority of the audience is going to be happy because they're in the entertainment business,
Yeah.
right? So they're going to.
Yeah, but problem is with Disney too is that they've kind of admitted to it too, is that they have no obligation to make art or make some kind of statement. What is Disney's main focus? To make money, right? Which, when you are a $1 billion corporation, I think that goes without saying. I don't know. I don't want to restate too much of what we said last episode, but it's like, once again, with people getting upset at Disney for keeping certain people on, firing certain people, right? Like not firing Kathleen Kennedy, for firing Gina Carano from The Mandalorian.
Yeah.
Um, People get so worked up over these things, and it's like, ultimately all this behind the scenes drama almost never impacts the movies and shows in the long run.
Right.
So why get so upset about the things that are out of your control?
Right. And there's even another thing that's just like been brought up recently, that now that Snow White is getting cancel culture because of what's his name? The prince, I don't think he has a name, but like when he kisses Snow White's dead corpse, like all of a sudden there have been a bunch of complaints saying that like he kisses her without consent. And I'm like, and then the comment section blew up. It was all over my Facebook feed. I was looking at him like, oh my gosh, like what is this? Like the Charlie Brown Christmas thing, like all over again? Like, Jesus.
Keep in mind, guys, this movie came out in 1937. Like, why all of a sudden, 80 years later, no, 74 years later, now you're getting upset about it?
If it makes anybody feel better, if you look back into the movie, okay, um, the prince, he he sees this beautiful maiden in the garden, surrounded by dwarfs, and he sees that she is dead. Clearly, she's dead.
That they're mourning over her. They're clearly crying over her. So,
They're crying over her. So, and the thing is that the prince, I think, looks at this maiden, and it's like, oh, I wish, in a way, it's like, I wish I got to know you. Yes, and then, and in a way, it's like, he kisses her, and even though it wasn't consensual, it was like, it was like almost goodbye. I wish I got to know you. Um, but if you look at it, the next scene after that, she then gets up, and they say it's as if she got up from magic. But what if you look at closely, actually, if you think about it logically, she ate a poison apple. So when he kissed her, he got some of that poison in himself too. So when she gets up, that means that they're both dead. So because in the distance,
Conspiracy theory?
I think not. They walk together out of the forest, and then you see this light of this like castle under the clouds. So like depicting heaven. Like if you look back, if that makes anybody feel better, it's that's I think what the scene was trying to depict, is that they both are dead now. I'm sorry. So
you know what, guys?
Unless
I actually do have a hot take about all of this. Okay, here's the thing. What is Snow White? A fairy tale. Meaning, it is not real. It was written however long ago, adapted by Walt Disney as the first Disney animated feature, right? And it's like, it is not real, okay? Obviously, you're not going to go up to a dead corpse and kiss them and hope that it brings them back to life, okay? So, and here's the thing, too. It's like people forgot how to parent their kids. Because it's like, can you honestly not teach your kids that, no, you shouldn't do that? Or, like, you shouldn't kiss dead people or kiss people when they don't want to be kissed, like without asking them first. It's like, did you forget how to make believe? Did you forget how to put aside your preconceptions about what a fantasy story is allowed to be? It's like people too often mix fantasy with reality.
Yeah.
That's just what I feel anyway. Like, once again, with Snow White, it's an old fantasy.
Right.
Like, written years and years ago.
But what is
Like,
it?
do people just not know how to have fun anymore? Do people not know how to have an imagination anymore? It's make-believe. It's supposed to have a happy ending. The only happy ending in the case of this story was that he kisses her, and I mean, not to conflict too much with what you said, Jose, but she otherwise basically comes back to life and she's fine, like nothing ever happened. But the whole idea is that she lives happily ever after.
Yeah. And I think because, like, in the times we are in right now, there isn't really a whole lot of happiness left. Hell, like, I think we're all, like, mentally trained by the COVID, so I think, like, we honestly, yeah. And so I think when it comes down to, like, seeing things that make us happy, it's just more so making us more depressed because we realize we're in a COVID. But yeah, like, and that's just kind of what the big problem is. But the way that I view this is that obviously people are making these complaints now because, again, COVID is eating their brain cells. Because I guarantee you that if COVID wouldn't exist right now, we wouldn't be having half of these complaints right now.
We'd still have them, they just wouldn't be as widespread.
Oh, exactly, yeah.
But I'll just say for me too, like, I get the whole thing of, like, we're in a really bad time with COVID and everything. But for me personally, I turn to the things that I used to watch when I was younger that remind me of times that I was happier, and when life seemed a little bit easier, and escape into the reality that's contained within those stories, right?
Yeah.
Right.
The only things that I say are depressing is when I look back on, like, older photos of, like, when we were hanging out and stuff like that, and we hung out with friends at school and stuff like that. That stuff is depressing.
What do you think about the old
In a way.
times?
Think about the old times when we didn't have to, be socially distant from each other, and wearing masks and all that. And I can't really complain about washing your hands because we always should have been washing our hands, but it's just, that's the part that sucks. But honestly, for me, it's just, rather than get too worked up about the things that are in fantasy, worry about what's in real life and use the fantasy stuff to escape from it, Whatever the case may be. Whether you watch Disney movies, whether you watch DC movies, or Marvel or Star Wars, again, whatever the case may be, just focus on that stuff. Focus on the stuff that makes you happy. And if it's watching old cartoons or watching your favorite movies over and over, just do that.
Yeah. I agree.
For anybody listening, honestly, enjoy the things that you enjoy. Everybody's gonna have a different opinion from you as well, right? The thing is, just enjoy what you have. The world isn't perfect, like Nathan said, and honestly, but we got to find happiness in the things and things that are going on now and into the future. Like, we can't just look at everything that is bad. We can't. We're gonna go crazy, So but I mean, for me personally, I turned to media. Like I, before this whole COVID thing, my thing was going to the movie theaters with my friends and my brother. Like, I loved going to the movie theater and having popcorn, having like Jolly Ranchers or something. Like, I don't know, like
And I miss that. I honestly miss that.
like I got an app, guys, that you can skip the line and get, like, if you were, I was like, the amazing thing about this app was, like, I'm not promoting here. I'm not gonna say the name. I'm just gonna say it. It's the fact I was almost 5 minutes late to a movie theater. And usually when you go, like, that's bad. If you're going to a movie theater and you know that there's like a new upcoming movie like Spider-Man, you don't want to be 5 minutes late, because then you got to wait in line to get the tickets, wait in line to get the snacks, and then you got to count down the minutes of the advertising before the movie, and it's like you don't want that. So, but this app, I remember, it was a game changer. I would just do it. The just order my tickets, order my snacks, like how big the popcorn, if I got medium size or large, I get a large, and then I got soda and whatever candy I had, and then I would just, I remember going 5 minutes, just 5 minutes before the movie started, I skipped the line, got my food, ran to the movie theater. It was so easy. I miss that. I miss those times that I could do that.
Mm.
Like now you go to, like, I just checked it out recently, and they're limiting the amount of people that can go into these movie theaters, and I just hope like, I hope to come back to the time that we can go back, and I want to watch. Like I told you guys, I think I told you guys already. I want to watch Spider-Man, the new one that's coming out in theaters. Hopefully by then everything is a little bit better. But I want to watch movies at the theater again. That's just me.
Yeah, like most movie theaters are open right now, but I have had no motivation to go ever since COVID hit.
Yeah,
Same. Because, like, what's the point?
Right? Like I don't like the risk, and I don't like the feeling of being like, am I going to catch COVID from going to see a movie? It's like I might as well stay home, wait for the movie to come out on a streaming service, and just watch it on there.
Yeah.
exactly.
Then I'm not putting myself at risk or putting anybody else at risk, you know?
Yeah, and I think COVID itself is actually hurting the film industry the most
Oh
because
yeah, it is.
one, film productions are being delayed. Some film planning in the pre-planning stages are now being delayed because it's like they can't even rent the buildings, they can't even get the people to be in charge of that, and even if they did, they have to promote social distancing, and that itself is already tough on its own when you only have narrow space to work with. So, and even then, once COVID dies, once COVID is gone, I don't think anyone is really going to be motivated to go to the theaters anymore because theaters itself is already slowly dying. And that's just the sad reality. Now, I hope that there is a new way to bring people back. I hope. But I think COVID just pretty much killed off theaters almost entirely. But yeah, like, that's just a sad reality in terms of, like, where we're at with theaters. Like, I'm hoping things change, and I hope we can bring some positivity and, like, you know, like, some excitement back to movie theaters. But if not, then we lived in a very good era where movies have become the golden stage. Like, when you see, like, big blockbuster films, like, you know, like, of like the Avengers films, and then Star Wars, and then you got DC as well. Like, you're never gonna see films like those in theaters again. You just have to watch it on your laptop, which isn't really a second bad thing to do. But, yeah, like, I'm just hoping things change from that.
Exactly.
So, did you guys check out the Venom trailer that dropped recently?
Oh yeah, okay. Let me give you my 2 cents on that. I thought that trailer could have easily been in a lot more serious tone. They tried to make it a little more awkwardish, kind of funnyish kind of deal.
Yeah.
I see the vibe they were trying to go with. It just didn't sit well with me. Like, Venom is supposed to be kind of like one of those dark, very,
Yeah.
gives you like a little more like an edgier vibe kind of character. But they basically made Venom into basically a laughing stock. And I wasn't really there for that. I get it if it's a writer's choice. I still think the trailer should have like showed off a more of a serious tone.
Yeah.
The one problem I have with Venom, like Sony's Venom, is that they're kind of ignoring the elephant in the room.
Mm-hmm.
Who's a big part of Venom's origin? Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that is when the multiverse is going to take place, because I think they're slowly trying to get Venom 2 to work into the multiverse. So that way, if they were to bring Venom into the MCU, that would be the perfect opportunity to do that. Because now Marvel is at that point where they could include the MCU with also incorporating the previous iterations of the Fantastic Four and the X-Men characters, as well as previous iterations of the Hulk as well. So if they wanted to like throw in some previous iterations of the previous characters and films that bombed or somewhat did decent, then they can make it canon if they want to with the Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, right? So if they wanted to throw in Venom and Carnage, and then basically include a cameo from Doctor Strange and tie that in, there you go, problem solved. But if they're just making that separate, once again, we have a bit of an issue here because it's like, well, at this point, no matter what, it's now considered canon into the Marvel Universe now. Just now it's on another timeline. Don't get me wrong, I'm very amped up for that. I truly hope this will do better than the first one because I thought the first one was kind of meh, but it looks promising. Don't get me wrong. Like, it looks really promising, and I hope Sony delivers.
I don't really have anything else to say. Do you guys?
Oh, no, it's all good. It's all good. I think it's a perfect time to send off.
All right. With all that said, thanks for watching. I'm Nathan.
I'm Jose.
And I'm Josh.
And we'll see you guys next time.
Bye!
See you guys.